Welcome to the Rittenhouse Square Fine Art Show, 5 o'clock. My name is Kerry Sacco, and I am an oil painter and a printmaker, and I've been doing the Rittenhouse Show for about 23 years. And so we started this 5 o'clock club in an attempt to broaden our audience on social media and get as much exposure for our afternoons at 5. So let's see. Normally at the show you can find me in on 18th and Walnut. I'm right across from Park Restaurant, and it's great people watching there. The whole cafe scene there are just like a million paintings waiting to happen. So last June, I did a Facebook Live presentation. I focused on the songbirds that I typically paint and have on display at the show. I do small songbirds, background, and the sides of the paintings. It just was really neat to see people who hadn't realized that those lyrics were even there. I've been keeping note of which songs I was listening to and titling them, accordingly. And so I had a lot of fun with that. So now we switched to going on month 5 of our quarantine stay-at-home restrictions. And I have to tell you, we travel a lot, and not having, being allowed to leave the country or go too far, I just have been really craving, like Italy and, all that we had experienced there. So my demo today is going to at these scenes. I have lugged my camera all over the place, and luckily iPhones now are just like really great for quick compositions, and you can take a million and delete them later. But it's just I'll just tell you some of the things that I look for, and I think it's pretty common with a lot of painters that travel. We look for light and shadows, and just being immersed in a different culture, and we observe things that a typical tourist might not. We look for the people, we look for their faces, we look for what the native people are kind of doing. But first, let me do a little quick studio tour. I have a bunch of landscapes to show you and some figurative stuff that I've worked on. Say hi to my cameraman, my husband Jim. You can't really see him, but you'll see him in a little bit, because we'll drink wine together.
Wait, I can show myself.
You want to show yourself? He got a haircut. Last time it was super big. So this is a great, absolutely love. Big gallery scene too, which is just, it's in a very inclusive, accepting city, which I really appreciate. But so some of these on this wall, and Jim can zero in on some. I do a variety of, I love to paint water scenes, boat scenes, old cars, the rolling hills of Lancaster County, things in my own, out my own front door. We live around some nature trails that are really beautiful. The land can't be developed because it was built on top of old landfills, but really great trails were developed. And so it's just been really wonderful to live here, and especially during this time, we can just walk outside our door and go on a little hike. So I really, is there a glare on that one? Can you see that one?
Somewhat.
This is a really nice painting. This is our front.
That's better.
Looking across, there's kind of like a natural marshland that's grown up around there, and the sunsets are beautiful any time of the year. And there's the starlings just pop up out of these reeds and rushes and do this great dance around. It's just really beautiful. I'm pretty influenced by my surroundings, as you can tell. But when I travel, it is with a painter's eye, and I think that's what a lot of people, a lot of landscape painters, for their community summer show. It's open to artists living and working in Lancaster County. So this is the Susquehanna River. Further up along in the northern part of the state, middle part, like up near Sealands Grove, but the Susquehanna is just a gorgeous, beautiful, inspiring river. All these little islands pop up, and this was sunset during one of my winter or late winter treks back from work one day. Let's see, you want to go up to some of the portrait stuff? The figurative work, I was trained as a figurative painter at the Pennsylvania Academy and have kind of gotten away from it. But this shut down. My good friend Beth Bath is a landscape plein air painter, and she's been offering up really wonderful model shoots that her partner Bill Taylor has done. And so they put up about like 16 photos every Friday, and we pick and choose and just paint from that. So that's been a really wonderful reprieve for me during all this, and rediscovered my love of portraiture. So zero in on some of the paintings over here, Jimmy. Can you see any questions coming in, James?
No questions so far.
Okay.
A lot of compliments.
Okay. So this is some of the animal portraiture that you might have seen if you saw my June presentation. I love chickens and roosters and can paint their attitude. And Jim's showing you some of the songbirds, and like I said, there's lyrics scratched into the sides and then lyrics scratched into the background.
I'm not sure how that's showing up.
Yeah, it's not really showing up, but it's all really personal, nice messages that I, pick and choose out of some of the songs. This gorgeous man is Maris. He was an older, dignified gentleman who was a resident at Lancaster Farm Sanctuary, and that's going to be for sale. Let's sit down. I wanted to show you my palette and talk about some of the imagery that I've chosen. Can you show them the dogs? We have our studio dogs here. And the cat already, one of our quarantine babies. So I'm going to show these two paintings. The painting, I'm not sure if it's showing, it's on the right in Facebook Live. This is still a work in progress. This is typical of what I look for when I'm eyeballing the are way up in the hills of this.
I'm getting a question, can I flip the screen? Not sure what that is.
Or is it zeroing in on there? No, it can't be turned horizontally if that's what you're asking, because, yeah. So like, at lunchtime, this little promenade by the sea is packed with cafes, and these waiters are just there like sentries, ready to pull in. It's a big draw for cruise ships docking there, and they're ready to pounce on, whatever tourist is going to come their way. So we were there for a cooking class early in the morning, and it was just like unbelievable. We had the restaurant to ourselves, and we're wearing chef hats and made pasta, and the fishermen brought in fresh fish like this big, and the chef's wife brought their baby in and like let us all like bounce this little fat Italian baby around. It was great. But anyway, when I left the restaurant, I snapped this photo. So this is kind of what I was working from. I like to kind of edit out a lot of things. I'll probably work a little bit more in here. And you can see all this kind of piping and stuff. And I love the shadow play there. But I changed it. I changed the windows because artists can do that because we take a million pictures and have a lot of photo references. So I'll get back and work into it. But I think the thing that I wanted to capture the most was the waiter, his shirt, his stance, and the light and shadows. So I'm just really happy the way this is turning out. And I said, I'm taken right back there when I view these pictures, and it's just great. All right, do you have any other questions while we're finishing? Okay.
Comments, no questions.
All right, so we're 15 minutes in. So then the Rome cafe scene that I'm going to work on today, that was all part of the same trip we had done to Italy. We were in the Amalfi Coast first, and the island of Capri is off the coast of Amalfi. That's like the Campania region, and then we came back in and headed up into the central part of the country, and ended up like the end of our trip was in Rome. And it's summertime in Italy, and it's like blazing hot, and if you have a good tour guide, they will walk you through the little side streets in the shade because it's just brutal. So our hotel was actually to be winding your way through all these little streets, and all of a sudden, like, you're just at this like massive come from. And since we were staying right nearby, we got to explore all around it, and really great. And this is the one that I chose, and I did a quick value study to first get myself oriented with how I was going to mix my color. I edit stuff out. I'm not going to add all these people. I'm not going to add, I'm not even sure what that is. I'm not going to add that. I'm just going to work with kind of like an atmospheric perspective, pushing stuff back. I like how these colors all kind of blend together, and you can just do like little pops of accents. But the thing that I loved the most is, it's sweltering hot, and this man is just sitting there all stylish with a suit coat on, just reading the paper, probably was a businessman, and just like, it's just like an iconic Italian scene for me. I just really loved it. So what were you going to talk about? The Pantheon, right? I made Jim do a little history for you with the Pantheon.
That version built by Emperor Hadrian in about 125 AD.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. Yeah. There's this hole in the middle of the ceiling, and when you walk in, it's just like this big cavernous place. I think Raphael's tomb is there.
There is a question. Do you always start with a value study?
If I am working from a here's the kind of trick that I use lately, especially with like an iPhone. I'll look at where I might want to be painting outside, plein air. I'll take a photo and I'll turn that photo into a black and white image. It's real easy in the editing. And I can see there if it's a good balance of darks and lights. Like you never want like an equal amount of bright light, bright, middle grays and darks. You kind of want, a little bit and then increase it, and it's either dark or light. So that's how I go about with value studies. But if I have the time, because I love to draw, and I love to draw with a brush and paint, I prefer to do a value study. So that's a good question.
That came from Rittenhouse Square Fine Arts?
Oh my gosh, that's a great organization. All right, before I'm going to start painting though, it's 5:20. I was going to talk about wine because I promised I'd talk about it. So this area of the island of Capri is in what's considered like the Campania region in Italy. And because it's so stinking hot out, that are refreshing and crisp, and they are not Pinot Grigio, and I just want...
These are just one.
I'm working on, say, one of my funny little roosters. I have a lot of fun with a value study in complementary colors. So if, the rooster's comb is bright red, I will do a study using a transparent green. And if I see kind of like the yellow feathers, I'll do a very light, purple. So I'll do the complementary color. And sometimes I'll do that in landscapes too. If I have a ton of green fields, yet a blue sky, my greens, I tend to go redder on my value. And then my sky, I either throw in kind of a real pale yellow or like an orange, and kind of have a little bit. So anyway, this wine is called Falangina. It's from the Campania region of Italy. Its origins, the name is from like a Greek word for like the stakes that prop up, the grapevines. It's a really pretty color. You see that? Really pretty. And a lot of this area is very volcanic soil, so you get a lot of mineral qualities. And this area where this grapes are grown, it's real. A lot of the vineyards that with Palangina are people with like packs on their back climbing up these little ladders going up. So I'm just, cheers. Let me taste a little bit. Falangina. So just crisp and yummy, and again, not Pinot Grigio. So I'm put that down, and let's go back to the palette. Oops, still more stuff on it. Okay, sorry. Okay, it's okay, Adam. So I use a more than a double primary palette, but that simply means, you know, varieties of warm and cools in all your primaries. And I lay my palette out the same way every time. That's what most painters do. And I have a mix of transparent colors too. So like this is an ultramarine blue, very transparent. I like to use an alizarin crimson, really transparent, transparent yellow oxide, and transparent red oxide. So I just really, really love throwing all of those in there. Here are some, I call them like my neutralizers. And these are already like pre-mixed. They're considered grays, believe it or not, but it's by a company named Vasari. And they make really wonderful paint. Like it's just great pigment and consistency. Yeah, we're gonna have a wrestling match
So I'll
soon.
put Adam out.
You want to put him outside? All right, one of the dogs is going out. So I use a medium called Like It. It keeps my paint looking wet inconsistently. Sometimes you have like a matte finish and some stay shiny. I've really enjoyed discovering that as a medium.
Rittenhouse Square.
Really, really trained in. I have had to teach acrylic painting in some of my other teaching jobs, so I had to kind of learn. But you know, I just really enjoy oils. I love the way they handle and everything. So I'm gonna pull my photo up on my computer and I'm gonna start doing a little bit of getting my darks on there first. So I do like to work dark to light with oils. I try to keep the dark areas a very thin coat. He just came in, and you know it helps. You don't want a big pile of dark sitting next to a really bright paint blob of your paint, because it's just a perspective thing too. So the image, the darkest darks are kind of the little seating area where they are, and then the next dark is the building back here.
Came in through the front door. Where's the gate?
The gate is right there. So while I'm just mixing up a couple of varieties of the darks that I see, if there are any other, Jimmy can read them off now. Typically I can work with a palette knife, but I'm not sure where that went. I'm mixing, but so I just do like a little dab of my liquid, or I'm sorry, my gal kit. I use liquid as a medium when I'm doing plein air painting. And I'm just going to throw a little touch on there and see. I might get it a little bit more purple. And I'm going to neutralize that a little bit. But just working with a bigger brush, you kind of start getting a little bit more areas covered pretty fast. And don't get caught up on details. That's always what any workshop I've ever taken, you just told that over and over again. I like to leave a little bit of some of my underpainting, value study peeking through. You can always cover it up later. There's a good amount of squinting done when you're at this stage to make sure your values are correct.
Do you avoid straight black paint?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mix my own blacks. The best black is ultramarine blue and my transparent oxide red, and it makes like the best, black paint for me. That's what I do. The only time I've ever used black is when I sometimes do the with the songbird paintings. I'll do a little bit with the cardinals and everything, but I mean, it makes sense. Black is all the colors mixed together anyway, so you can do all different varieties. All right, so that's the Pantheon, and now I'm going to kind of work into the seating area of where the businessman is. And just, you have to just keep reminding yourself, like don't go, stay with your value to start. Need a little bit more Galkid. This was a great place to stay in Rome, because we could get to a ton of different places really easily. There were so many like unbelievable, a quick walk to the Trevi Fountain, the courtyard of around the corner is where we were staying in this Minerva. It was this Hotel Minerva, and there's this beautiful Bernini statue of elephants with a big obelisk coming up out of it, and it's just spectacular. And if any of you are familiar with Salvador Dali's crazy elephant paintings of the elephants with super long legs and everything, that's what his influence was, is these Bernini elephant with the obelisks. So it's just kind of emerging as a loose little shadow. I see some dark back in here. I'm just going to start adding a little bit more. And this little plant, these little topiaries, I just kind of mixed my own green because I didn't throw any green on this palette, but that's fine. So those are the super darks that I see, and all these small little vertical, they're not as dark as they appear. You just kind of know that from doing. I just know it from doing kind of landscape painting. So now I'm going to mix kind of a little bit of works. You have to kind of think like I had a teacher once that said the real color is what is in the shadow. Like you're just painting sun here. The real color of what you're looking at is that. So I don't know. I get like confused sometimes, and it's real easy to say, oh, let me make all my shadows purple. But if you think, if it's terracotta or brick patios, what does that mix with? Like these earthy colors that I'm using. So this is a little bit, so I'm going to start this whole line. It's a little bit, see, it's a little bit lighter now. And I'll go back in and get, and you can kind of see how it might start hitting under the table. And then some of it does come up on the walls and in these doorways that you don't really realize are doorways. And now I'm going to bring this same color up here with these awnings. And I'll repeat it a little bit. A lot of this has a fair amount of reflective light, which I just love. And it's just a great, like, observational thing, doing, one more level of your observation. You're just like, okay, how is that influence? What's there? What's on, the underside? What is it reflecting on the table? And
Kerry, when you set up your palette, is that only for one session, or can you maintain it for a couple days?
I can maintain it for a couple days. This is a Masterson box, and it has a nice blue lid that snaps on. I read something that this one woman does, that she uses clove oil, like on it is. I can keep this and come back to it. So all this stuff that I've mixed, I just work on palette paper. If I was working on a plexiglass or a glass palette, I would scrape it all off. If I'm working fresh, I still try to do that to here, but I don't mind using this particular sheet maybe 3-4 days, and by then I'm ready, and I scrape it all off and rip it off and throw it away.
How do you work out the perspective in your pieces?
In my pieces, so you need your focal point, and so for this painting, I like this guy, but the actual focal point, that's street level, way back there. And the way you start to compose in your mind for landscape painting is you never want your focal point in the center of your painting. And so I try to put it here, 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 here. And same with like your horizon line. So, and you can totally change all that. If you're working from a photo reference, just change it. Don't be a slave to your photo reference. So right now, this is the perspective, like the vanishing point, so it's called. And then if you hold your brush there, everything's pulling out there. That's just a whole lesson on perspective as it is. Did that answer your question? That could be like a whole other class. I remember teaching perspective in the elementary schools, and all I would draw was like a fishing dock.
Yes, it did.
and okay, or train tracks and that kind of stuff. It's, you know, perspective is still a struggle. It was not something that came easily to me. I kind of teach myself. It was something I wasn't really. So I'm just getting that road behind him, and you know, doing little bits here. Now there's a little shadow. Let me add a shadow over here. Another thing, so atmospheric perspective is different. It's kind of using varieties of the same color to push things back. So this whole foreground of this, you know, paved road, it's the same darn color when you're looking at it and walking along it, but you have to vary your colors and add a little bit more white and or blues and push it back. As it comes forward, I tend to add warmer colors and saturate it a little bit. So here I made it a little bit warmer. Try to go up and create like a chair in there. So it's a variety. I've just added a little bit of yellow to it. I can go even lighter. I had a painting teacher. She taught us how to use color, make color and light without doing a big muddy mess, adding white to it. She's a great teacher. All right. So now I kind of want to start with a little bit more color. I love what time are we at? Oh, we're at 5:42. Let me add a little bit more color, and then I wanted to talk about one more wine. And how about any other questions, James? No?
Becky says hi.
Hi, Becky.
Shane Zimmerman says hi.
Hi, Shane. Becky, JoJo knocked over your ballerina painting, but it's not damaged.
Sally Pure.
Hi, Sally. Pattern and bring it into kind of like the light part of the awning. This is a panel. This is a gesso panel. I prefer to paint on board. I just like the way it takes the paint. Sometimes I don't like the texture of the canvas as much, but thank you for asking. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up.
Sharon Strong.
She's on it. Here's some of that awning. Now there's a real reflective quality going on the underside of the umbrellas. So kind of do that, but again, you have to just keep things very, very loose at this stage, because it'll just kind of turn into a big muddy mess if you get caught up in details. Masses, not grasses. That's a motto of So back here, this is the sky. So that's what happens in photographs a lot. It just kind of really completely um, doesn't have any color to it. So I'm gonna see what happens if I do throw a variety of a sky there. That'll help push some of that back.
Do you work on more than one piece at a time to avoid muddying it up?
Yes, that's a great question. That if I have the time, that's what I do. Um, it's a patience thing, and a lot of people newer to oil painting um, start dabbing, and so if I'm ever teaching in class, I kind of, smack their hand, say stop dabbing, let it rest. So one of these great colors that I love is Naples yellow, and I know this is a Roman scene, but I'm gonna throw a little Naples yellow in, because if I squint at this photo, the brightest part is back here at the sky, but I just want to get some bright into these umbrella. Right, that's there. And all these little details, I've actually used the same brush now for this whole painting, which it has a really nice edge to it, and if you put the line of paint down and then pick your brush up, that's how you can control it. And one of the things I really liked in the shadows underneath this, all these cluster of tables, is I like, these little lines of shadow. But that might be something
One
that
person asked about putting one color on top of the other, and how to keep it from smearing.
Well,
does it dry quick?
It doesn't dry quick. The way you can keep it from smearing is the way you lay the paint down. So we worked here first, right? It's not dry at all. But if you have a clean brush and you have a mix of color that you might want to add to it, let me throw just a different, like a weird little green in there. If you lay it down with a light touch, you can do that. See, it doesn't muddy. If you pick up paint, lay it down, it doesn't muddy. If you stay working, blending like that, then it turns like super muddy. So don't worry about that. I can fix that later. I just wanted to address that question. These are really good questions. Okay. Well, that's bright in there. Bright. So there's little tiny areas of like some of the brights, the like little pops of color that you can add that are different.
549.
549. Okay. And I will go in with Mr. Businessman later, but let me just show you what I do. I mix up just like a skin tone to start. And I kind of, roughly add add that in there. Another fun trick is the back end of your paintbrush. You can use that and correct a bunch of things or get a line back. That subtractive way of painting is, I like to do that too. So, like I said, we're doing our virtual September show. You should go to our website, get on our mailing list. That will give you the whole overview of what's going on. My website is, I'm sure they've been posting it, but it's www.kerrysacco.com. Very easy to remember. Let's go have a little bit of Sicilian wine.
While we're heading over there, do you have a favorite color combination to represent bright sunlight?
I like a cad red light and a lemon yellow. The tiniest touches of it. And my white paint is called Permalba. It's real buttery. I like that. The Naples yellow is a really great little pop of sunlight. So, but you have to use like the barest little amount of those other colors because they're pretty chromatic. All right, the last wine. It's called Grillo. It's Sicilian. And Sicily is just this blazing hot island, and the grape Grillo was used in making Marsala wine, which is a fortified wine. And Grillo was like almost obliterated because they went to using other combos. But in the 90s, a winemaker brought it back and introduced it as its own grape, like own dry white wine. So it is the same flavor to me as the same appeal to me as Sauvignon Blanc, and it has really nice. It's a lighter in color than the first wine I showed you, and it has a mineral quality to it because of how, you know, the volcanic rock that, you know, a lot of Italy emerged up out of. But also it is, a lot of these are, you know, seacoast vineyards, and they get a fair amount of, I don't want to say salt flavor, but it's a really nice complex flavor. So try some Grillo or Falanghina. And wait, it reminded me of Wallace Shawn in Princess Bride. He was the Sicilian. I don't know how, but I wrote down, he's like, never go against a Sicilian when death is on the line. So you have to watch that movie just to see him do it. It was when he was in the Battle of Wits. So cheers, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Next week there's going to be, our 5 o'clock club is our Jean Petrosky, an artist interview. Lisa, I'm not sure. Lisa Muller, you might be doing the interview. Okay. So, yeah, we're just going to blaze on forward through the summer and see you all in September. So, thanks. I miss everybody.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
Becky sees her ballerina.
Oh, yeah. She's gorgeous.